Welcome back to the channel and to another Chelsea first team match report from an incredibly disappointing 2-1 defeat to Arsenal. Slender margins, a very tight game, and a game that Chelsea, I can confidently say, did not deserve to lose. A game that we deserved, at worst, a draw. We deserved a point out of that. We were not the worst team over 90 minutes. But the same problems, the same issues come back to bite us in the arse. Architects of our own downfall yet again. Red cards, silly mistakes, not being able to control the game, and not throwing the kitchen sink nearly early enough. We're going to get into it, all of the major talking points, key standout performances as well. Not too many to talk about, but we're going to get straight into it. Before we do, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Plenty new content coming this week, including academy stuff as well as the first team. Reece James, I think, was the best player on the pitch. We're going to start with the positives, however few there may be. Reece James was the best player on the pitch yesterday and continues to show that he is the best right back in the world, the best fullback in the world. There is not a more complete footballer than Reece James. And I could confidently say that if you were to build an 11 out of one player, if you were to look for a player that could play every single position of the 11, I don't think you're going to look further than Reece James. I think a team of Reece Jameses, this is a player that can play off the left, off the right, in the centre. He could play out front if he wanted to. His deliveries, his quality on the ball as well as off. I mean, his work rate, fantastic. Strength. You know, we know he's not the quickest, but what he lacks in speed, he makes up for in every single other department. And this is a player that, you know, they were talking yesterday about England's set-piece dilemma. Are we going to use Reece James, Declan Rice? Look, this is a player that is undoubtedly a starter for England, a starter for any team in the Premier League. And I'm starting to look at Reece James and I feel incredibly sorry for him, a player that is, you know, born and bred blue. He has known nothing but Chelsea for the entirety of his life. At this point, I think we're letting him down. It's not even a case of letting the fans down, letting the club down, players letting themselves down. They're letting Reece James down. This is a player that has stayed with us through the most tumultuous of times. This is a player that has stayed with Chelsea through thick and thin, and he has always been the best in his position. And I think that for Chelsea to go another season this year without winning silverware, without really challenging seriously in the Premier League, I think these Chelsea players owe nobody a bigger apology than Reece James. And I think, again, showed his leadership yesterday. But it's one of those where we can't be relying on one player to be putting out consistently professional, solid performances. I think you could see his frustration. You've seen it multiple times this season when players have made silly mistakes, silly decisions, getting sent off. Pedro Neto again yesterday, changing the complexion of the entire game. You know, would you rather Gabriel Martinelli broke away and potentially scored that third goal? Or would you rather we go down to 10 men? I'd rather concede. At that point, we're 2-1 down anyway. We need to go out and throw the kitchen sink. We need to go and find something. And Pedro Neto has just made our job incredibly difficult. Essentially just scrubbed all chance we had of finding an equaliser. And it is, I feel like these players are letting Reece James down. You can see it on his face. You know, you saw him going over after the game, clapping the fans for about 5 minutes longer than anybody else. He's one of the only players in this squad that understands what it means to be Chelsea. And I feel like looking at the results list, you know, the last 10 times that we've played Arsenal, failed to win, you know, barely scored against Arsenal. You know, it's just not good enough. I think for this Chelsea side, there was nowhere near enough want, nowhere near enough intensity, aggression. You know, for me, this was a game that Liam Rossini, you know, you say to the players before they go out, all you need to say to the players is, Arsenal win this game, they win the league. Do you want them to win the league? No, you do not let them win this game by any means necessary. And we can sit here and lament the referee and the poor decisions that didn't go our way but went Arsenal's way every single time. The Rice handball, the Rice holding Hato, the Saliba holding Joao Pedro getting absolutely clattered by David Raya, the cheating, the constant diving from Arsenal players. The free kick that shouldn't have been a free kick leading to the corner to a goal that should never have been from Yuri and Timber. It's these small, like I said first thing in the video, small margins, fine margins, and it's these small things that Chelsea are just nowhere near experienced enough to be able to deal with them. And I think it comes down to games in the past. You look at games like the Battle of the Bridge, Chelsea-Tottenham. You had a squad of Chelsea players that understood what it meant to go up against Tottenham. And you know, certain games in the past, one that sticks out to me is Chelsea versus Tottenham in 2016 when, you know, we put the final nail in the coffin for Leicester to go and win the league. Is if nothing else, you're playing for pride. And Chelsea yesterday, I think it's got to a point in the season where we are playing for pride. I do not think we're going to get Champions League football. I think if we do, it's going to be an incredible job by Rossini and the Chelsea team to get Champions League football. I don't think we can give them too much credit because we have had the opportunities to go, you know, again, I'll go back to the 19 points drop from winning positions this season. We could and probably should be top of the league right now. If we had not made the mistakes, if we had not caused our own downfall in simple games. And again, yesterday, it's simple mistakes at the back that put us under pressure. You know, we started well. The first 10 minutes, we looked solid. Sanchez repeatedly getting on the ball, making silly mistakes, taking one too many touches. Look, this guy may have turned a corner and he may have had a fantastic season by his standards and also by goalkeeping standards. I think he's had a great season this year. And he has, for the most part, cut out these mistakes. But what we saw last year and the year before with Robert Sanchez is a player that is going to continually make errors. This is a player that isn't going to consistently give you shutout performances. And while he has been fantastic for the most part this year, showed again yesterday why you need these world-class players in these important positions. Because Robert Sanchez, I think the mistakes let them gain momentum, let them grab a foothold into the game. They get a corner and a goal. And it's one of those where we're up against it from minute 20. And we could very easily have gone out there and given them a game. Like I said, I don't think we deserve to lose that. And if we had our loaves screwed on, and if we had not made those individual errors and mistakes, if we had just been smart, I feel like the game was there for the taking, the points were there for the taking. It's the second time in a month that we've had the opportunity to go up against Arsenal with very, very little, if nothing, to lose. If not nothing. I feel like this Chelsea side doesn't believe in their own abilities. They're not confident. And some of that does kind of fall in from the fan base and the lack of atmosphere at the bridge and how quickly the Chelsea fan base is, to start booing or to start lamenting the team. Part of it does come from that. But at the same time, these are professional individuals getting paid God knows how much every single week. And part and parcel of being a professional athlete is being able to block out the noises, being able to focus on your game and to do your job in high pressure situations. This is one of the main reasons they get paid so much money. And these Chelsea players just seem incapable of embracing the event. They just seem incapable of grasping the occasion, of understanding the importance of a game. And I feel like, again, it's too little too late. We can look back at that performance yesterday and say, oh, yeah, I mean, we probably deserve to win. We didn't do enough. And this Chelsea side is now seriously in a serious race for European football. Forget Champions League. I think at this point in time, as positive as I would love to be, I can't see us beating PSG over two legs, particularly when they've got, games cancelled. They've got a full week of rest. I really don't see anything good coming of that game. And I really hope I'm wrong. And I really hope Chelsea can turn it around. We've got a massive month ahead of us. We've got some big games coming up still to play in the Premier League. Manchester United, Man City, Tottenham. We have some Newcastle. We have some huge games. 6-pointers against teams that we are at, the biggest one, probably, Aston Villa in midweek. Are we confident about beating a fourth-placed Aston Villa who's just lost to Wolves? I'm not confident at all. And I do feel like there is no real bounce back. You see with teams like Arsenal, like when they go and put in a performance and drop points like against Brentford, against Leeds, you then see that resurgence. You then see them bounce back, get back on the job immediately. And this Chelsea team just doesn't seem to have that same reaction, just doesn't seem to have that same strength. It seems like every time we are knocked down, they're knocked down even further. It's not knocked down, get back up, keep going. It's knocked down, knocked down, knocked down to the point where these players are just taking it lying down. They are not even bothering to get up. And I think there are a couple more positives that I want to just get out in the air. I think Joao Pedro, I think his hold-up play was superb, particularly in the first half. I think he has really developed into a top striker. You know, to go from conversations a couple of months ago where this guy isn't a 9, he's more of a 10 than a 9, Chelsea don't have it. He's doing what we expected from Liam Delap, I think, and he's doing it very, very well. And another positive game for him up against 2 solid centre-halves. And I think, again, refereeing consistency with a better ref, with a more consistent referee. I think Joao Pedro is getting a lot more fouls. I think he caused 2 centre-backs, 2 of the best centre-backs in the league, a real big problem, 3 times in 3 games. And I do think it's one of those where, yes, we could have asked for a little bit more from him, but I don't think the team was set up in a way that was particularly complementary to having him. He looked so isolated again, that there was really nothing going forward. Arsenal just wanted it more. As soon as they went 1-0 up, it was get 7 men behind the ball, make sure that you track your runners, make sure you do your defensive work. They understood their responsibilities. They understood that we're not going to win this playing pretty, and we don't want to play pretty. We need the 3 points. And that, I think, is something that has been instilled in this Arsenal side and other top teams like Manchester City, that they just can't seem to get into this Chelsea squad's head. And I really don't know what has to change. I think in terms of the discipline, I'm not surprised that these red cards keep cropping up because we haven't seen any maturity. We haven't seen any development from this Chelsea squad. So why would we expect the red cards to stop? Why would we expect these silly decisions to stop happening? Nothing has changed. And until we crack down on this, until somebody is held accountable, rather than, we were unlucky, we go again next week, until somebody has to hold their hands up and apologise and gets a rap on the knuckles from the management, the manager, whoever it needs to be, there needs to be some accountability in that dressing room. And I feel like there is a huge lack of said accountability. But yeah, on the positives, Joao Pedro I thought fairly solid. Robert Sanchez, as poor as he was in the first half, made a really important save in the second half. I thought Joao did okay. I think he was very solid up against Saka. Yeah, I was fairly impressed with him. I was surprised that he got taken off, particularly, a like-for-like substitution. I thought Chalobah had a good game as well, made some really good tackles. Gyökeres didn't really give him any problems. Not that Gyökeres is a top striker, but, Chalobah looked very comfortable in there. And I think Mamadou Sarr as well. I think we've got to give him credit. His first start, his first Premier League start, should I say. Obviously, he only played against Hull. I was surprised to see him in there, particularly given that we've got Achimpong on the bench. I think if he'd have played Tosin or Badiashile and we'd have lost, he would have been absolutely crucified. So not surprised that those two didn't play. However, I am surprised that he decided to bring Tosin on. The substitutions, I could probably do a whole nother video on. The fact that he's done 2 like-for-like defensive substitutions on 70 odd, and then I get that's more of a shape thing, but then, to wait until the 81st minute or whatever it was to put on Liam Delap and Garnacho, when you've only got Delap, Garnacho and Guiu on the bench, I think it's pitiful when you think about how much money that we've spent, and this is what we're reduced to. 9 minutes of Liam Delap and Alejandro Garnacho. I think it's woeful. But yeah, let me know what you think Chelsea's chances of Champions League football are this season. Is that it? Have they just been evaporated by a team that we were all hoping Chelsea would manage to stop, at least hoping to put a dent in their momentum, but we let the country down yesterday. The first time in a while that everyone's been supporting Chelsea, and we let everybody down. Let me know if you're more confident than me about Champions League football. I think another year, if we go back down to the Conference League, I'm not sure I could take it, to be completely honest. I think one time was was bad enough. We got away with saying, look, we're in the competition, we might as well win it. But if we have to go, if we become a regular back in the Conference League, club is finished. Club is finished. Anyway, that's all from me today. We've got academy football on tonight, the under-21s facing Manchester United under-21s in the Premier League 2. So you're going to get something out of me on this channel for that. Until then, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel for all of the latest and greatest Chelsea content, not just from the first team, the academy, the loan players. You can get it all on this channel. If it's related to Chelsea, we cover it here. So make sure to tap in. And until then, up the Chelsea.